All right, so today we're going to dive into a topic that can be kind of tricky, loan scams.
Yeah,
I mean, it's something that unfortunately lots of people have had to deal with at some point.
absolutely.
And honestly, with all the different tricks scammers are using these days, it can feel a little overwhelming. Like, how do you even know where to start?
Right.
But that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We want to help you get smarter about avoiding these scams.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we've got some really solid info from expert sources that'll help you spot those red flags and protect your money.
Definitely. I think what's really interesting, actually, is that these scams, they play on such a basic human need, right?
Right.
The need for financial help. And scammers know exactly how to take advantage of people who are already in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They kind of exploit that desperation, don't they?
They do. It makes these scams even more, I don't know, insidious,
Yeah.
just like morally wrong.
So let's talk about some of the specific types of loan scams that we found in the research. I'm kind of curious about this upfront fee scam. What exactly is that all about?
Well, it's actually pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
The scammer basically promises you a loan, but there's a catch.
Oh,
You have to pay a fee before you actually get the money.
right.
They might call it a processing fee or an insurance fee or even like a collateral fee, something like that. But the bottom line is once you hand over that money, they disappear.
Poof.
Gone. It's basically like paying for a product that never shows up.
Yeah. We saw an example in the research where someone was asked to pay a guarantee fee for a personal loan. And they, I guess, thought it was standard procedure. So they paid up and then poof, the so-called lender vanished.
It's amazing how convincing these scammers can be, though. Like, how do they make it seem so believable?
Oh, they're good at it. They often use these very professional-looking websites and fake testimonials.
Oh, really? Yeah. And even, like, official-sounding names to make it seem like they're legitimate. It's all a carefully crafted facade.
So it's all about deception.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we were talking about, like, preying on vulnerable people. The guaranteed approval scam, that one must be, like, way up there on the list, right?
Definitely. I mean, this one is specifically designed to lure in people who have bad credit. You know those online ads that are like, no credit check loan,
Yeah.
all over the place.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, they make it sound so tempting, right?
Right.
Especially if you've been struggling to get a loan through those traditional channels.
It's like, oh, this could be my only chance.
Exactly. And they play on that feeling of desperation
Yeah.
and that need for a financial lifeline.
Right?
But in reality, there's no loan waiting for you. You hand over your bank details, you pay a fee to secure the loan, and then, surprise, they're gone.
So it's all an illusion, really.
It is. It's all about creating this, like, false hope
Yeah.
and then leaving you with, like, a ton of disappointment and financial loss.
Right. And it's not just those two scams. I mean, there are more.
So many more.
What about the phantom loan scam? What is that?
Oh, the phantom loan. That one's even more devious because, well, the entire loan is completely made up.
Oh, wow. So it's like chasing a ghost, basically.
It is, yeah. It seems real, but there's absolutely nothing there.
I was reading about this one where somebody got an email claiming that they were, pre-approved for a loan, and it even had a link, like, to an application form.
Right, and that's the trap.
That's the catch.
Yeah, that application form is just a way for the scammer to get your information.
Personal information.
All of it, yeah. Your social security number, your bank account details, even like your driver's license number. And then they use all of that to steal your identity or empty your bank accounts.
It's like they create this whole convincing story.
They do, and it's getting more and more sophisticated.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They're spoofing legitimate websites now and even using things like social engineering to gain your trust.
So they're really putting in the effort to create these elaborate schemes.
Oh, absolutely.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's not just individuals that they target either.
Oh, really?
Businesses, too.
Businesses, huh?
Especially small businesses that are struggling to, like, secure funding.
Wow, so it's a pretty wide net they're casting. What are some other types of loan scams that we should be aware of?
Well, let's say there's the loan modification scam.
Okay.
That one preys on people who are already having trouble, like, keeping up with their existing loans, mortgages especially.
So they're already in a vulnerable position.
Exactly. Imagine, like, a homeowner facing foreclosure, desperate to save their home, right? A company comes along, claims they can modify the mortgage terms, make it more affordable, but it's all a lie. They take a fee and then nothing changes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It's taking advantage of someone when they're already down.
Yeah, that's awful.
Heartless, really.
What else?
And then there's the advance fee loan scam.
Advance fee, okay.
This one could be a bit tricky to spot.
Oh, how so?
Well, instead of asking for the fee up front,
Right.
they ask for the payment as part of the application process.
Okay.
You say if you're not approved, you get a refund.
But you don't get approved.
Nope. No approval. Money's gone.
That's so sneaky.
It is because it sounds kind of legitimate.
Yeah, like it's part of the process.
Right. And that's why people who really need those like emergency funds often fall victim to it. They think it's their only option.
They're desperate.
Exactly.
So we've got a good understanding of the types of scams, but I'm kind of curious about how these scams actually work. What's the, scammer's playbook? How do they actually hook people in?
Well, it often starts with that initial contact, right?
All right.
And they'll use any method they can. Email, phone calls, those social media ads we were talking about, even websites made to look like real lending institutions.
So they're fishing for victims.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. But once they make contact, how do they actually gain someone's trust? I mean, wouldn't most people be suspicious?
Well, that's where their manipulation skills come in.
Oh, okay.
They use all sorts of tactics, persuasive language, creating that air of legitimacy, building rapport.
Okay.
They might even use familiar logos and official sounding names.
Right, right.
Or even testimonials to make themselves seem trustworthy.
So they pretend to be someone you can trust, like they're almost playing a role.
Exactly. They might even come across as friendly and empathetic, understanding your financial struggles, offering solutions.
But it's all fake.
It's all an act. Yep.
Wow. It's like they're building this whole facade of respectability.
Precisely.
Okay, so they make contact, they've built trust. What happens next?
Well, that's when they turn up the heat. They create that sense of urgency.
Oh, God. Okay.
The offer is limited, interest rates are about to go up. You need to act now to secure the loan.
So they're pressuring people.
Yeah. Playing on their fears and anxieties.
Fairly quick decision.
Exactly.
Mm.
They know that when people feel pressured, they don't think things through.
This is all starting to sound very manipulative.
It is. They're using psychological tactics.
To get what they want.
Yeah.
So they've made contact, they've built trust, they've created this urgency. What's next?
That's when they start asking for personal and financial information.
Oh.
And this is where it gets really dangerous.
How so?
They'll want things like your social security number, bank account numbers, credit card details, anything they can use to steal your identity or take your money.
How do people fall for that? How do they end up giving away that kind of sensitive information?
Well, it's a combination of things. They might use fear tactics, claiming you need to give them this information for a security check or to verify your identity. Or they might play on that trust they've already built, saying things like, we need this to process your loan quickly.
So they're either scaring people or lulling them into a false sense of security.
Exactly.
Okay. And then once they have that information, what do?
Then they go in for the payment.
Ah.
This is when those bogus fees come into play.
Right, right. Like the processing fees, loan insurance, all that stuff.
Yeah, all designed to make them money.
And they often ask for payment through untraceable methods, don't they? Like wire transfers or gift cards.
They do.
Which makes it almost impossible to get your money back.
Right.
So it's all part of the plan. Take the money and run.
Basically, they know how to exploit legal loopholes, and they use technology to their advantage.
So how can we protect ourselves? I mean, it's unsettling to think about how easy it is to fall for these scams.
It is, but there are things you can do.
Like what?
Well, first of all, be wary of unsolicited offers. If you get a loan offer out of the blue, be skeptical.
Even if it seems legitimate.
Especially then.
Okay, good to know. So what should people do if they receive a loan offer? I mean, what are the steps they can take to protect themselves?
Well, research is key. Don't just take their word for it. Look them up online. Check for a physical address, contact information, licensing details.
Okay. Are there any specific websites or resources that people can use to verify this information?
Oh, yeah, there are lots, like the Better Business Bureau or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Those are good ones?
Yeah, those are great places to start.
So basically, do your homework.
Exactly.
Don't just jump in blindly.
Right.
Okay, so what about these upfront fees that we were talking about earlier? What's the deal with those? I mean, are they ever legitimate?
No, never.
Yeah.
Legitimate lenders will never ask for payment before they approve a loan. They might have origination fees or closing costs, but those are taken out of the loan amount, not paid up front.
So if someone's asking for a processing fee or a guarantee fee, that's a huge red flag.
Run the other way.
Run the other way. Okay.
Yeah. And watch out for high-pressure tactics.
Like what?
If they're pushing you to make a quick decision, saying things like, this offer is only valid for 24 hours, or you'll miss out if you don't act now, that's a bad sign.
So they're trying to like bypass your rational thinking, make you act impulsively.
Exactly. Legitimate lenders give you time to consider your options.
Okay, so if you're feeling pressured, that's a sign to slow down and think it through.
Exactly. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. It's better to walk away than risk losing your money.
Right. And what about how they ask you to pay? Are there any red flags there?
Definitely. Legitimate lenders will use secure and traceable methods. Bank transfers, checks, things like that.
Makes sense.
If they're asking you to pay with a wire transfer or gift cards or cryptocurrency, that's a big warning sign.
Because those are harder to trace.
Right. And that's why scammers like them. They're anonymous.
Makes sense.
Harder to track them down.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of ways to protect yourself, but what if, like, despite your best efforts, you fall victim to a scam? What should you do then?
Well, the first and most important thing is to stop all communication with the scammer.
Don't try to reason with them.
No. Don't engage no matter what they say or promise.
Just cut them off.
Cut them off.
And then what?
Report it.
Report it to the authorities.
Yeah, like the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission.
Right, or a similar consumer protection agency in your country.
Exactly. Reporting it creates a record of the incident, it helps law enforcement, and it can prevent others from becoming victims.
So even if you feel embarrassed, it's important to report it.
Absolutely. You're not alone, and reporting it can really help others. And you need to notify your bank or credit card company.
Right. Let them know what happened.
Yeah, if you shared any financial info or made any payments, they may be able to reverse transactions or, put a hold on your accounts, issue new cards.
Good. So reporting the scam, notifying financial institutions, what else?
Keep an eye on your bank statements, your credit card statements, for any suspicious activity.
So don't just look for the big withdrawals, look for any little thing that seems off.
Exactly.
And consider a credit freeze.
Yeah. A credit freeze basically restricts access to your credit report.
Okay.
Makes it much harder for scammers to open new accounts in your name.
So that's like a preventative measure.
It is, yeah. And you can do that online or by phone with each of the major credit bureaus.
Okay, good to know.
And a fraud alert is less restrictive, but it notifies creditors to be extra careful, verify your identity before opening new accounts.
So it's like another layer of protection.
Exactly. And if you've shared any really sensitive information like your social security number or driver's license, you might want to contact the, relevant government agencies.
Right, to report the identity theft.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, minimizing the damage.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about reporting the scam, notifying your bank, monitoring your accounts, credit freezes, contacting the relevant authorities. Is there anything else?
The main thing is document everything. Keep records of all communication, any payments you made, and any steps you've taken to report the scam and protect your identity.
That's a good point. It's like building a paper trail.
Exactly. Having documentation can make the recovery process much smoother and can help you build a case if you need to pursue any legal action.
Makes sense. It's like the more you know, the better.
Knowledge is power.
Right. The more we know about these scams, how they work, the red flags to watch out for, the better prepared we are.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on to the next part. We're going to talk about some more specific steps that you can take to avoid these scams. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break.
Sounds good.
All right, so we've been talking about all these, scary loan scams, but now let's shift gears a bit and talk about what we can actually do to protect ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Prevention is key.
So what are some practical steps that people can take, like right now?
Well, the first thing is just be cautious of unsolicited offers. Like, if you get a loan offer out of the blue,
Right.
whether it's an email, a phone call, a text message, whatever, just treat it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Especially if it sounds too good to be true, right?
Exactly. Like, if they're promising guaranteed approval or no credit check, that's a big red flag. Legitimate lenders don't need to resort to those kind of tactics.
Right. So even if the email looks official, don't click any links, don't give away any personal information.
Exactly. Don't click those links because it could lead you to a fake website designed to steal your info.
Okay, so let's say I've received an offer and it seems somewhat legit. What should I do next?
Research. Don't just take their word for it. Look up the lender online. Check for physical address, contact information, licensing details. You can verify their license with your state or country's financial regulatory authority.
I know there are websites that specifically track this kind of stuff, right? Like the Better Business Bureau, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Exactly. Those are excellent resources to check for complaints or red flags. And don't forget to read reviews from other borrowers. See what their experiences have been like.
You know, you mentioned something earlier about spoofing websites. What exactly does that mean?
Oh yeah, spoofing is when scammers create websites that look almost identical to those of legitimate lenders, using similar logos, branding, everything. It's all designed to fool ya.
Wow. So how can you tell if a website is legitimate or if it's been spoofed?
Pay close attention to the URL. Look for misspellings, unusual domain extensions, or just anything that seems a little off. If something feels wrong, it probably is.
Okay, good advice. So let's talk about money. One of the biggest red flags we talked about is being asked to pay upfront fees. Can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, so legitimate lenders, they'll never ask you to pay before they actually approve the loan. They might have some fees like origination fees or closing costs, but those are deducted from the loan amount, not paid upfront.
So if they're asking for a processing fee or a guarantee fee, that's a major red flag.
Huge red flag.
Okay. What about those high-pressure tactics we talked about before? How can people recognize those and, resist them?
Well, if the lender's really pushing you to make a quick decision, like creating a sense of urgency or using scare tactics, that's a bad sign.
What kind of things would they say?
Things like, this offer is only valid for 24 hours, or your credit score will go down if you don't act now, things like that.
So they're trying to get you to act without thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But legitimate lenders will give you time to consider your options, to read through the terms and conditions, ask questions. Don't let them rush you.
So if you're feeling pressured, take a step back.
Yep. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is.
What about the way they ask you to pay? Are there any red flags there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Legitimate lenders, they'll use secure and traceable payment methods, bank transfers, checks. But if they're asking you to pay with a wire transfer, gift cards, cryptocurrency, that's a big warning sign.
Because those are hard to trace.
Right. And scammers love that because it makes it harder to track them down.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about prevention, but what if someone, despite all their best efforts, falls victim to one of these scams? What should they do?
First things first, stop all communication with the scammer.
Don't try to get your money back.
Nope. Don't engage with them no matter what they say.
Just cut them off completely.
Yep. And then report the scam to the authorities.
Like the FTC here in the U.S.
Yeah, the FTC. Or the similar consumer protection agency wherever you are.
Okay.
Reporting it's important. Creates a record of the incident, helps law enforcement track down the scammer, and it might prevent someone else from falling victim to the same scam.
So even if you're embarrassed, report it. It can help others.
Exactly. And let your bank or credit card company know what happened, too.
Right. So they can take steps to protect your accounts.
Exactly. And keep a close eye on your bank statements, credit card statements. Look for any suspicious activity.
Even small transactions.
Anything that seems off.
And what about that credit freeze thing we talked about?
Yeah, credit freeze can really help. It basically makes it way harder for scammers to open new accounts in your name.
Okay, so it's a good preventative measure.
It is.
Yeah.
And you can do it online or by phone with each of the 3 major credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion.
Good to know.
And a fraud alert's another option. It's less restrictive, but it alerts creditors to be extra careful before opening new accounts.
Okay, so we've got reporting the scam, letting your bank know, watching your accounts, credit freezes, fraud alerts, anything else.
Document everything. Keep records of all communication with the scammer, any payments you made, all the steps you've taken to report the scam.
Good point. That's like creating a paper trail, right? In case you need it later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can really help smooth out the recovery process and if you need to take any legal action.
Makes sense. So it's all about being proactive and taking steps to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it? How these scammers, they just like prey on people's hopes and dreams, twisting that need for financial security into a weapon.
Yeah.
But what's been really cool about this whole deep dive is seeing how knowledge is power. Like it's our best defense.
It really is. It's like shining a light on all those like shady tactics.
Right. We've talked about so much the psychology behind these scams, the things we can all do to protect ourselves,
right?
What to do if you've been targeted.
Yep.
It's been eye-opening for sure.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that really stuck with me is how, These scammers are always changing their methods,
Yeah.
using technology to their advantage.
Right.
Spoofing websites, creating those phishing scams, even using social media.
They're sneaky.
They are. And that's why it's so important to stay informed.
Yeah, to keep learning about the latest scams
Mhm.
and share that knowledge with others.
Exactly. That's one of the best things we can do.
If we can arm our friends and family with the right info,
Right.
it's like we're creating a safer financial environment for everyone.
Totally.
Imagine if we all took that approach,
Yeah.
sharing the warning signs, the steps to take if you've been scammed. It's like a network of support.
It is. It's about helping people feel empowered.
Yeah, like they can spot these scams and avoid them. And I keep thinking about those who might be more vulnerable.
Right.
Seniors, people new to the country, anyone struggling financially.
They're often the targets.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to make sure they have the info they need. Know where to turn for help.
Absolutely. It's about creating that awareness.
Yeah. Looking out for each other.
Sharing knowledge.
I love that.
Yeah.
A culture of awareness.
Yeah.
Like a shield against these scams.
It's not just about protecting ourselves, though, right? It's about holding these scammers accountable,
Right.
reporting them.
So they can be brought to justice.
Exactly. Every report helps.
Like adding another piece to the puzzle.
It's a collective effort. We all got to play our part.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this. Now that you have this knowledge, what are you going to do with it? Will you share it with someone you care about? Report a suspicious offer? Help someone who's been targeted?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
You have the power to make a difference.
Let's turn awareness into action, people. Let's create a safer financial future for everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay safe.